10 years ago, on a Tuesday afternoon, a devastating explosion rocked the heart of Jos in Plateau State.
I hear boom. I say, what is going on? I have been hearing that Jesus will come, Jesus will come. Is it the end time? I saw my leg pieces. So I look, everywhere was dark, fire everywhere.
I didn't have any sound. All what I know, I feel heavy in my chest. When I look at her, it was burning head.
As the ground shook, the vibration shattered windows and a huge fire engulfed the area. In an instant, the streets of Jos were carpeted with rubble and human body parts. More than 100 lives perished, many were injured, and dozens of shops and vehicles were destroyed.
It was terrible, actually. I saw a lot of people, engulfed in fire, still with life, screaming, but you can't do otherwise. You can't help.
Some lost their eyes, some lost their legs, and we lost some.
Just 30 minutes later, a second bomb tore through another vehicle parked less than 50 meters away. Jos had been struck by a terrorist attack. In May 2014, the city of Jos in north-central Nigeria was in the middle of a tumultuous decade of ethno-religious riot. It had also become a target for Boko Haram, the Islamist group that stunned the world a month earlier with the abduction of over 200 girls from government secondary school Chibok. While the world's attention was on the fate of the over 200 girls, the terrorists had penciled down Jos for a major attack. In the heart of Jos, the Terminus area stands as the city's most cosmopolitan economic hub. It houses an old railway station, a bustling bus station, and the temporary site of the Jos University Teaching Hospital. The Terminus area is also home to the magnificent Terminus main market, once the largest indoor market in West Africa. The market's gates were closed in 2002 after an explosion compromised its structure, spilling traders onto the streets and making the area one of the busiest, most crowded and disorganized in Jos. It also became a soft target for Boko Haram.
If you could know, the Jos Terminus main market is a large crowd area, being a central market in Jos, where people gathered, mostly those in shops, others on the streets, hawking, people coming to purchase things, not being mindful of or conscious of security.
May 20th, 2014 seemed like any other day for traders. No one had suspected that 2 vehicles loaded with explosives will detonate in the Terminus area.
I was passing by opposite Jude on Tuesday, 20 May 2014, around 3:15 to 3:20, the accident occurred. Actually, I don't know what is going on. I just had people who are screaming. The next thing I heard is a voice of a guy telling one of his friends that I know this girl. She's a friend of mine. So then I called the guy. His name was Ado. He's a very good friend of mine. He's the one who took me to hospital. That's what I can tell for that day. After like 2 days, I found myself in an emergency.
Many accounts say the first explosion occurred around 3 p.m., shortly after Anthony Ndibisi, a roadside shoe seller, returned from a journey.
So within 30 minutes, I was discussing with my friend. I was supposed to travel with him. He said that I should go. When I come back, he will go. So we are 8 in my shop there. I'm the only one survived out of that 8. So when I hear boom, said, what is going on? I have been hearing that Jesus will come, Jesus will come. Is it the end time? I rushed to get up because he threw me away. I rushed to get up, I couldn't get up. I saw my leg pieces. So I looked, everywhere was dark, fire everywhere. So I rolled from that place to the other side. The fence of the jute now fell. It's that fence that caught my friend that stand with me. He caught his two legs. He died instantly with a daughter. So when they rushed me to, I don't know anything again. The only thing I know that they carry me inside the wheelbarrow.
Austin Chidozie had a makeshift shop by the wall of the Jos University Teaching Hospital. He was not far from Anthony when the explosion occurred.
There was a hold up. The car was moving slowly. So at a spot in our front, the car now stopped moving. So we are like, maybe the car got spoiled. So our mind is not even there that something like that was going to happen. So we're just busy doing our business. Before anything now explode. So, and when it exploded now, I didn't even know anything. I didn't even understand anything again. The next thing I know, I can remember is that I found myself in the hospital. You understand? Me, I was thinking maybe the bomb was not supposed to explode there because maybe the hold up now slow it down, so it didn't now happen in front of us. I remember it's like just like a truck. All this truck I used to like all this Jet 5. That's what I can remember.
So what is the car?
Yeah, it's like the car is Jet 5. It's Jet 5, yes. All this Jet 5 that used to carry goods. Yes, because the car was filled up with corn. The car was filled up with corn.
10 years ago, I was one of the few journalists who rushed to this scene at the Terminus area when the first bomb explosion went off. As the correspondent of the Daily Trust newspaper at that time, our office was just about a kilometer away from this exact spot. And so when we got here, what we saw can best be described as a devastating scene. There were body parts littered all around here, and those body parts were burning. Just opposite here, there were vehicles and shops all burning. Passers-by and traders were trying as much as possible to put out the fire and to help those who had injured. But at the same time, security agents were trying to avert a chaotic situation. They were also trying to push people away, fearing that another bomb may have been planted in another vehicle just a few meters from here. Truthfully, a few minutes after we got here, the second bomb exploded.
In the first blast, the second blast, the security tried their best because they are chasing people away when it's blasted. The first one is the one people are unaware of. It just explodes suddenly. But the second one, they had noise coming from the Sienna. So the security start chasing people away before it explodes. That action of the security saved a lot of lives.
Actually, I was not in the market. I was in Ukur site. We went to visit one of our colleagues that is sick. But my car, my personal car is there and it has been affected because we enter my friend's car to go and visit one of our friends, one of our members in the market. Then even from, could be a surprise, we are in that roundabout of Ukur. There where we hear the sound. But we look at the distance, but we hear the explosion in that Ukur site. We hear the explosion. Then we are now called that this is what is happening. Then we now rush back. We couldn't even go to where we are going to. We just turn back and come back to the market.
With the Terminus explosion coming just weeks after two similar explosions claimed the lives of over 80 people in Nyanya near Abuja, Nigerians became increasingly apprehensive for their safety and the rising humanitarian toll.
For us as a government, it was unfortunate because no responsible government will watch its citizens killed through circumstances that are avoidable, through circumstances that in the eyes of an average citizen, the primary duty of government is the protection of lives and the guaranteeing of the welfare of citizens. And here we were confronted with a situation whereby as a government that the citizens expect to protect them, we were also caught up in that very ugly situation where evil visited the state.
I know more than 25 people. Even my boys, more than 8 of my boys has been affected that day. They are directly my boys. I'm the one giving them goods. They are only selling my goods there. So directly, some lost their eyes, some lost their legs, and we lost some.
It was terrible, actually. I saw a lot of people, engulfed in fire, still with life, screaming, but you can't do otherwise. You can't help. Some have died, some hands amputated, some heads beheaded by the explosions, some cars on fire, so many vehicles were also on fire. It was terrible, actually. Then what next can we do than to begin to count the casualties?
The official death toll, as presented by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is 118. However, many believe the actual death toll was higher.
The bomb blast pieces many. They cannot count themselves. Some cut their head, some their legs, some cut into 2, 3. So some pieces. Because then, as people were saying, electric wire like this, you see somebody hang there. The intense time, you see them hanging at the pole there. So that's why, at the estimate, people are saying it's more than 207, as they are saying.
The next day after the first day of the blast, the second day, we were busy packing debris of bodies from even as far back as Hamas. A foot was brought back to us from Murtala Mohammed Way to Hamas. And the bomb that blast here, it was covered with corn, maize specifically. So the maize penetrate into the bodies of most of the victims.
For many families, life has never been the same since the explosion. Ambassador Barnabas Kennedy Eje's daughter, Shekina, was 18 years and the apple of his eyes when the explosion claimed her life.
If I say I miss everything about her, I don't know how. That may seem ambiguous, but truly, I miss her. I told you now, because she was such a caring person, she cared for me, that kind of a thing in the family. Female are closer to their father.
A few minutes before the explosion, he had called his daughter, who informed him she was on her way to the Terminus market to buy some home supplies. He took a nap, and a few minutes later, a phone call from his eldest son changed his life forever.
I reached out to my phone because she went with her phone and also the younger sister's phone. I called her number, the number was no longer going. I called the younger sister's number, it was no longer going. They said no, I should be patient, that she will call. That was all. At the end of the day, I had no alternative than I told my wife, I said, let me go to the market today. So on getting to Plateau roundabout, I discovered that the soldiers and other military people, like the police and the rest of them, they've taken over that place. I was standing there for close to 30 minutes but they wouldn't allow me. So the next thing that I thought of, I said, because I was seeing people packing corpses in different vehicles to Plateau Hospital. I trekked from that place to Plateau Hospital, although along the line somebody who was with Keke gave me a lift to Plateau Hospital. I went to the emergency area, ICU. I could not find her there. So the only thing I could do now was to enter inside the mortuary where they were heaping the corpses of people. I was just checking them one by one, and I found my daughter there. That fateful day, May 20th, is a day that I believe I wish never be part of the calendar of my life. I wish.
For some, the relief of finding their loved ones alive was short-lived. Awalu Abdullahi's infant nephew sustained injuries in the stampede that followed the explosion. He died 2 days later. Awalu's sister Hawa succumbed to the trauma and the loss of her child a year later.
Yau kimanin shekara 10 ne ina kasuwa New Market ina aiki sai ga sister na ta zo da kawarta a cikin wani tashin hankali bayan mu ma mun rude mun fita a shago mun je karan da bamu taba jin irin shi ba sai muka zo lokacin da ta zo sai da suka iso ta discovery magoyan bayan ta babu shi kafin nan muka kama hanya muka juya muka tafi Terminus mun je mun samu kowa hankalin shi ya tashi wasu suna gudu to amma da yake hankalin mu ya tashi muna neman yaro bayan da zamu yi dole zamu shiga.
The Terminus twin explosion of May 20th, 2014 may have been the deadliest explosion to hit Jos City, but it was one among many attempts by Boko Haram to bring the city to its knees. Between December 2010 and July 2015, Jos witnessed at least 9 bomb incidents which claimed over 250 lives. 3 of those explosions were within the Terminus vicinity. Apart from targeting states such as Kano, Kaduna, Plateau, and the Federal Capital Territory, Boko Haram's activities were largely concentrated in the northeastern states of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa. In a 2014 article titled Insurgents and Terror in Jos, Nigeria, Where Next?, Professor Kwaja described Boko Haram's acts of terror as well-coordinated, sophisticated, and consistently unpredictable in terms of both location and victims. Analysts are uncertain as to why the insurgents were fixated on Jos between 2014 and 2015. However, there are suggestions that the state's history of ethno-religious riots and its strategic location as the gateway to the northern and southern parts of the country could be a contributing factor.
Within that period, Plateau was also experiencing other forms of insecurity. And interestingly, when you look at Plateau sits in the middle. It's in the middle of the north and part of the south. I'm not in the minds of the terrorists, but I think from the perspective of terror groups, how do I draw attention to the acts? I have a state that is very strategic. Plateau is very strategic to Nigeria. Plateau is a confluence of identities. And by hitting those targets, attention is drawn to a national calamity. It's also possible that because of the conflict that has happened, that took on a religious or ethnic coloration, they felt, let's hit the state in that way.
The residents of Plateau State were still struggling, particularly Jos, struggling to cope with the situation of the sectarian crisis we have, where we have segregated communities. And maybe when I sit down to think, I said maybe Boko Haram was thinking people are trying to stabilize, to rebuild trust and confidence among themselves. So since we want to have more sympathy from people, why can't we continue to erect this problem? When I sit down to think, I say maybe they are trying to say, okay, let us put a bomb at the mosques, like the entire market, mosques. Maybe let's detonate a bomb at ECWA headquarters so that the Christians will feel, the Muslims did this to us so that we can continue to fight one another. Or maybe let's detonate a bomb at the mosques so the Muslims tomorrow will feel like, no, maybe some of the Christians did this to us, so let the fighting in Jos continue. That is my thinking.
Years of ethno-religious riots in Jos have entrenched deep division among Christian and Muslim communities, forcing segregation in living arrangements. In response to these challenges, the Plateau State government in 2016 established the Peacebuilding Agency to enhance early warning systems and promote peace-building efforts across the state.
So we have worked together with segregated communities. We have created structures that also feed us with early warnings, and we now use those early warnings and send those early warnings to appropriate carters like security agencies to act on them. And in some cases, if there are issues within the communities that have the tendency of escalating conflict into violent conflicts, we have worked together with structures within the community to see how they could escalate those issues so that it will not move out of hand. It is only when they cannot handle some of these issues that sometimes they will now refer the issues to us, and we see what are the issues and how we can handle these issues.
Despite the danger roadside trading poses, many traders continued to defy multiple government bans on street trading around the Terminus area. But much has changed since the Terminus explosion. In March 2024, Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State signed into law Executive Order 003, which aims to regulate urban development and vehicular traffic within the Greater Jos Master Plan. This has led to the evacuation of traders from the streets of Terminus. But only time will tell if the enforcement of this new law will endure.
Because of the kind of population of people that comes around for transaction of one business or the other. And so you could record that in the past there has been issues of bomb blasts, terrorist attacks and things like that. So this administration, we're trying to decongest the state. We are embarking on urban renewal, ensuring that the Greater Jos Master Plan take full effect in the sense that people are expected to carry out their businesses, traders, in places that they are expected, that are designated for them, and not just clustering around the roads, coming together in a particular place, and then you have so many population in one place.
"10 years since the bomb explosion. Without a memorial, many residents have forgotten the events of May 20th, 2014. But for the victims, the pain lingers."
You can't just forget something like that so easy. You can't just forget that, because I know so many people that lost their loved ones then. So it's not easy to forget.
For the scar, I'm completely healed, but inside, I'm still seeing a doctor. Because as the result of the trauma, I have heart issue. I'm still seeing doctors, maybe in air like 3 to 4 times. I'll book an appointment with my doctor. I feel grateful. because I survive. I go through a lot and I survive. I feel proud of myself that I go through and I overcome it with the support of my friends, my family, most especially my dear mom. Alhamdulillah. But it was a bad experience. It was. It wasn't easy. But it's okay. Alhamdulillah.
Anthony is reminded of the tragic incident every day by the loss of his limb. Life has been difficult since the explosion.
I have searched many places to see whether I will get an organization that can assist me, but I couldn't get any place. So nothing like organization. And for the assistant, I didn't receive any assistance from any government organization. I didn't see anything. I only used my own money to sponsor myself, to purchase leg and other things to feed my family. So no assist from any government or any individual.
For others, life will never be the same.
We don't even talk about her in the house. We don't even mentioning her name is a problem in the family. You know, mentioning her name is a problem in the family because it really affected the entire family psychologically. They were traumatized, you know. But thank God, gradually, God began to give us healing.
These are situations that till date, when I look at this place, passing through this place, I still remember that this is a hole, a big hole created by this bomb, a wretched bomb. I still recall. I look at the wall of the former Jos University Teaching Hospital, temporary site. A hole was created. I still recall this, though it's fixed back. So these are terrible things that I'm always praying we never experience again. It's so terrible, beyond the level that someone can recall and explain.
As Boko Haram continues its senseless war against the Nigerian state, it leaves a trail of mass graves and broken yet resilient survivors coping with the trauma of its terror.